Evening Fix It fans, so I'm back for round 2 on the vintage Pioneer SX750. Now I'm saying it's round 2 because I have already done a video on this one. Earlier today I've had this all apart and been right through it fault finding, and I did find a couple of faults with it that hopefully I've put right. So that video will go on before this one, so this one is sort of a part 2 following on from that one. So if you've already watched that one, welcome back and let's crack on with the vintage Pioneer. So in today's video I'm going to be taking all the front off of this receiver so I can get right into all the pots and all the switches and give them a good clean with Deoxit, because I've only just got this Pioneer and the seller said it is really crackly when you move any of the pots, so they really do need a good clean, all the pots. And also this Pioneer is only working on one channel, so a dirty pot or a dirty switch could be part of the problem. So that's why I'm taking the whole front off, because I really want to get in now to make sure I clean everything properly. So I've just turned it over and I'm going to start taking all the knobs off. And as you just saw, that tuning knob came off easy, but this one I can't just pull it off, so I need to get my little tool down behind it and prise it off. Now this little tool that I'm using is just a little bit of plastic, so it will not damage the front of the faceplate. Do not be tempted to put a screwdriver down behind these knobs and prise them off, because you will scratch and damage your faceplate. So do not use a screwdriver. Get something like what I am using, or if you haven't got anything, get yourself a pair of chopsticks, because they work, or even a couple of lolly sticks down behind these knobs really will help you prise them off. But just don't use a screwdriver or anything metal, because you will damage your nice faceplate. So I've just got my little adjustable spanner and I've set it to size, and I'm just going to take off these couple of lock nuts that are holding the faceplate on, and then there is 2 screws on the top, one either side, so I shall take them out and then the faceplate should just come off. So that's the first one out, so let's get this second one out. And there you go, that one's out. If I can just get hold of it. Oh no, it's pinged off and gone onto the floor. Oh, where did that go? I'll have to find it. Right, there it is. So I've got the little screw. So let's put it safely in the pot before I lose it. So now that the little Mexican jumping screw is safely in the pot, let's try and get this faceplate off. Now I'm just going to lift this at one side. I'm going to put a little roll of tape under it, because it'll just lift it off the table a bit and make it easier for me to slide this faceplate out. So there you go, that's off. And that's nice, that faceplate. Look at that. That really is a good condition faceplate on this Pioneer. That is immaculate, that plate. So as you can see, even though the faceplate is off, you still cannot get into the pots and the switches on this Pioneer. So you have to take that black plate off at the bottom there, which really is not difficult to take off, but it does just take a little bit of time because it has got a load of screws in it. So I shall stand this receiver up on its side and then start taking them black plates off so I can get into everything. So I get me adjustable spanner again and take all the locking nuts off of the pots, and then there is a load of Phillips screws that need to come out. And if you own one of these Pioneer SX750s and you want to give it a service, if you fancy a bit of a challenge, you can try and do it without taking the front off. But it is very tricky because the front bit of the pots that you need to squirt Deoxit in is right up against this plate, and the switches are so close together that you can't seem to get your straw between them and get it into a little bit in the side of the switch to get Deoxit into them. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to do it without taking the front off, but it is a right challenge. And it is very fiddly to do, so that is why I'm doing it this way, so I can make sure 100% that I have got Deoxit into everywhere. And also I can have a good examination of the fronts of the boards this way, just in case anything looks damaged on them. Plus I can examine the switches better and the pots better in case any of them look a little bit damaged, because you can't see a lot down the back, you can only see the tops of everything. So that's the last of the locking nuts off of the pots. So let's start taking out the Phillips screws. Now there's a load of screws to whip out, but it doesn't take long. And also with me, I do enjoy working on these old vintage receivers and that. So doing it this way, I know it's all done properly and I enjoy doing it, so I've got nothing else to do today, so I might be going a bit of a long-winded way about it, because you could just bend up a straw and try and do it all down the back, but I'm in no rush today, so I'm going to do it like this, and then I know it will all be done properly. And also, this lovely old vintage Pioneer was a Christmas present from my missus, so I will be keeping this one forever. So I want to do it properly and make sure I can get this one sounding as good as it can sound. And it should have a good sound, this one. If I can get it all working properly, this thing should have a really good sound to it, because I've had a few of these SX50 series over the years and all of them have been really nice sounding receivers. And with this 50 series, over the last few years, the prices have rocketed on these things, because it wasn't that long ago when this 50 series was quite cheap. And it was as if no one really wanted this 50 series, but that is not the case anymore. The prices have gone right up on this 50 series, and nowadays everybody wants it, so it makes the same sort of money as the other vintage Pioneers, when it never used to. This was like the one that nobody went after. And lately, because I've been on the computer a bit, looking up for the knobs I need for this 750, so I've been on the computer trying to track down the two knobs that I am missing. So while I'm on the computer, I'm getting loads of this 50 series coming up, and even that small one, the SX450, the little baby one, that never used to make any money. No one wanted one of them a few years ago, but now I've been quite surprised by how much money some of them are making, because I have had a little bid on a few of them, because I thought it'd be good to get one of them for the channel, because I've got the SX434, I thought it would be good to get an SX450 and then compare the two together, because I've never had both them receivers at the same time to compare them. So I thought it'd be a good one to do. I'd enjoy doing that. But then when I have bid on a few, I've been really outbid. I've been surprised by what people are willing to pay for that little 450. So that's it. All the Phillips screws are out of this now. So I'm going to put my little bits of sponge down and lay this receiver back down and then take them black plates off. And then you can get into the pots and that quite easily. So I'll just put my little bits of sponge into place just to lift the front of it up off of the table. And then hopefully these plates will come off quite easy. All you have to do, you have to take the radio slider off. So be very careful doing this. It's easy. It just comes off. You unhook it and then the string runs along a slot in that black plate. You have to take the string out as well and then you can take the plate off. It's easy to do. It's just if you do it, be very careful not to pull on the string too hard. Just do it nice and gently. So I've just zoomed the camera in so you can see a bit better what I am doing. Now all you want to do is get hold of that little radio slider there. You see it's wedged onto like a lip along the top of this plate. So you just move it right to that side and then you get the string and just hook the string out and the little radio bit will come out with it. So that's all you need to do. Just be careful doing this. Don't put too much pressure on the string. Just do it nice and gently and unhook that little radio bit off like that, and then just run a screwdriver along there and slide the string out, and that's it. That plate will come off now. So it is easy taking that radio bit out. It's easy to put it back on, but just be very careful doing it. So as you see there now, I am into all the pots and that. It just gives me a ton of room. I can see everything. I can examine them fronts of the bolts. It just makes it so much easier. So next, I'm just going to take the little screws out of this plate and whip this plate off as well. Because it's only a few screws. Take this plate off and then it just makes life even easier again. So they're only little Phillips screws holding in these switches. And it's easier to do the switches when this plate comes off, because the switches, you squirt a little bit of Deoxit into the side of them. It's just easier. Take this plate off as well. So that's all the screws out. I just get my little adjustable spanner, whip that lock nut off, and then the plate will come off of this side as well. And then it's so easy. We are right into that board, into the pots. And I should give the board a good check over, make sure everything is looking good on it. And then give these pots and switches a little going over with Deoxit. So that's it, the plate just comes off now. And look at that, right in there, I can see everything I want to see. And I'm looking at that plate, everything on that plate looks good, nothing looks burnt out, no capacitors look bulging. Look at the underside of that board there, can't see no damage to that. So that's good. This board is in nice condition. The pots look good, so do the switches. So everything's looking good in here. So I should get some Deoxit and do this little lot and then do the other side. So I should do this one first. I think that is the on off and the speaker select. So I should put a knob on that because it's quite stiff to turn without having a knob on it. And then get a little bit of Deoxit and just spray some right in there. Clean that right up. So that's all you need to do, a little bit of Deoxit into that one. And then just turn it about, work the Deoxit into it, let the Deoxit do its magic. So that's it on the on off. So let's move on and do one of the pots. Now if you look here, the little slot at the back of the pot there, now that one you can get into without taking the face off, but there's a little slot down here that you got to squirt it into. You can hardly see that one, it is right up against the back of the face. And I'm not saying it's impossible to do it with the front on, but it is very fiddly. And it's just so much easier once all the front is off. So that's all you need to do with that pot. Squirt a tiny bit of Deoxit into the two little cutouts and just wiggle it about. So let's move on and do this one. Same again, you've got the little slot at the side. You need to squirt a little bit into there, and then this one on the back here. And just wiggle the pot about, that's all you need to do. Work the Deoxit into the pot. And what I normally do, I'll come back to these in a couple of hours and I will give them a wiggle again. I won't put no more Deoxit into them, but I will just move them about a bit more. I'll probably do it a couple of 3 times tonight, just every couple of hours, give them another little wiggle. I don't know if it does anything, but it's just something that I have always done. So these switches have got little slots in the side of them here. So you squirt it in the side and then just do the switches up and down, and Deoxit will work right through the switch. Now the one that's on the outside, you can get into that one from the top, but again the one that's on the inside, one side of it is up against that metal plate and the other side of it is against the other switch. So you're trying to get your straw down between the switches and into a little slot. So again, I'm not saying that is impossible, but it is a bit fiddly to do, and you think you've got it in there, but you can never be 100% sure that you have. And you'll see it's the same on the ones the other side. There's a little bank of 4 switches, so you can do the 2 outside ones from the top, but the 2 in the middle, again, you're trying to get the straw down between the switches and get it into the actual switch, which is hard to do. And it is very fiddly, and you are never sure if you have actually got any Deoxit in there or not. And by doing it this way, I know it's taking like 15-20 minutes to take this front off, but I do know that I am getting Deoxit exactly where I want it, plus I am examining all the other parts as well, that without taking the front off I really would not be able to see properly. So I just take out this last little screw, and then you just need to take that one lock nut off, and then this plate will come off as well. So I just get my adjustable spanner, loosen that little nut up, take that nut off, and then this plate will come off and we'll be into this side as well. Now there's a little switch still attached to this plate at the end. It's got tiny little screws in it. I don't bother taking that one out because you can just turn the plate like that and it's out of the way for what I need to do. You can take that switch out, that one my thumb's on, you can disconnect that switch, but I'm just doing it now, putting a little bit of deoxin into that switch from the back, and I find it easier if you leave it attached to the plate. So I've just given it a little deoxin, there's a little tiny hole in the top of it, and just work that switch up and down. Just work a little bit of deoxin into that. You can quite easily take that switch out if you want to get this plate right out of the way. It is only two little tiny screws, but I never bother taking that switch out. I just move the plate to one side. So same again, a little squirt in that side slot, a little squirt in that back slot. And then wiggle some deoxin into that pot. And I'm going to go in from the back on this one. It's easier to get in there to that little slot down through the top. So that's what I'm saying, you could quite easily get into these back ones through the top, but it's that little front one on the side which is a bit fiddly. And the same with this one. Now this one has got 3 parts to this pot, so you need to do all 3. Let's just get a little knob and put on now. Same again, at the back one I'm going to go in from the top because I just find it a bit easier, because I can't pull this board forward like I can the other one. So that's it, just wiggle them pots around and they'll be nice and clean. Hopefully all that crackle will have gone. Well, as long as there is nothing wrong with these pots. I don't know that until I actually power this thing up and have a listen to it. So that's it, that's them pots done. So let's get the deoxin and get into the side of these switches. And that's what I'm saying, see, the 2 in the middle, you've got to try and get in from the top, get your straw down the little gap in the middle of them, and then get your straw so it goes in the little slot at the side and you get deoxin into them. Which, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is a bit tricky to do. So that's it, just work the switches up and down, and when you've squirted it in that side slot, it'll work its way right through all these switches and clean them up nicely. And that one I'm doing now, that's really loosened up. That was a little bit stiff, that one. But now that is working as smooth as the other ones. Yeah, that's working nice, that switch. So I do think that was a little bit seized up, that switch. And deoxin has freed it up and it's working nicely now. So I'll just put a knob on that last one, and that is the selector. And in that, again, it's easier to go in through the back on this one to get to the back bits. Just get down there, a little bit of deoxin, a little bit on this front part, and then just work it in. That's all you need to do. You don't need a ton of this deoxin, just a little squirt. So I'll just give everything another little wiggle, and then I should get my brush and clean up the light deoxin that has leaked out onto the board and that, and I should just use it on the back on the inputs and put some on the speaker terminals and that, rather than waste it, because it is expensive deoxin. So any that spills out anywhere, just mop it up and use it somewhere. And you want to mop it up anyway. Don't go leaving all wet deoxin all over your boards. I don't think it matters. I don't think deoxin damages stuff, but it will just take a lot longer to all dry out if you leave puddles of it laying everywhere. So it only takes a minute. Just get your brush, wipe everything over to get rid of all the excess deoxit, and then use it on your inputs or your speaker terminals or wherever else you want to use it. So that's all the front done, so I'm just going to turn it round because there's a couple more bits that I just want to do on the back here. And that is this little voltage changer bit here. I'm just going to make sure that is nice and clean, because all the power is going through that when you turn it on. So I want to make sure that's nice and clean and making a good connection. And it does look nice and clean, but I'm going to give it a little tiny deoxin anyway. Just squirt a little bit in there. I'm just going to do the little power input part as well. Brush a little bit of deoxin onto there. Little bit in there. And just do the little prongs on the voltage changer, just to make sure it's all nice and clean. Use the excess, just rub it round the inputs, clean them up nicely. And then I'm just going to give it a little squirt in the speaker terminals, just to clean them up. And that's it. They only need a tiny little squirt, and then just work that in like you are playing the piano. And for those who are interested, the song I am playing is My Old Pioneer by the Vintage Receivers. So that's it really. That's about as far as I'm going with this old Pioneer. So I'm just going to leave it now for 2 or 3 days for all that deoxin to dry out, and then the next time you see it, it'll be back on the channel once it is dry, and I shall be putting it all back together, and hopefully this old Pioneer will be working. Now I'm not 100% about that. Maybe a 50-50 that this thing will be working now, because I did find a few faults with it that I put right, and it has been all done now with deoxin. One of them switches was very seized up on it, and now that is working properly, so I'm going to give it a 50-50 chance that this receiver is now working. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.